Hello everybody, I'm outside resting on my patio because this is essentially leaving no threads of conversation unwoven together. So consider this part 2 of the patio chats. I was interrupted. I was talking about giving birth all naturally. So I gave birth to a child in 1989. And again, one in 1990. And even though they were through midwives, there was still forced medical intervention, which isn't important for me to go into. However, I will say I was successful, and I was able to provide 2 au-natural births drug-free. So pull up a cuppa, and that means I grab a cup and a chair, and we're going to talk about stuff. So, what's in your hair? Remember Southside Pacific? Anybody watch any of those musicals? My mother and father were big musical fans. So we watched Showboat, South Pacific, Singing in the Rain. Hello Dolly was the more modern one with Barbara Streisand. And was that Louis Armstrong, the trumpeter singer? Anyway, I just had a little drift back into memory lane. You know the one. He had a voice like that. Well, hello, Dolly. And I think he was akin to Zibbity Doodah Zibbity Day, and I never considered that racist. I thought that was beautiful and poetic. And sad that the romantic things that actually did occur may not have happened just like that, but there were Black communities that were very happy. And a lot of them say that they were better off before integration, but I'm no historian, and I don't know anybody personally. And being a white chick from New Hampshire, I have no idea. The only Black family we had in our hometown were Dr. Darby and his daughter and son. And the daughter ran track, I ran track. She went to Dartmouth on a scholarship. And of course, my brother could have too. But the pathological narcissistic mother, I was there. I was there when she yelled and screamed at him and told him how dare he do that. He's not going to play basketball for the rest of his life. And she sabotaged him, Jack. She sabotaged him. So I got to witness that. And so I am definitely a child of a narcissist, and I experienced my own experiences, yes, as well as experienced what it was like being subjected to your siblings being abused. And that's exactly what happens. You experience your own siblings being abused, and there's nothing you can do about it. So the dysfunctional family unit carries on. And I believe I've healed the most. This is my Thuja arborite. It's a green giant. They grow 35 feet tall. But if you don't give them the environment they need, they will be, kept to a smaller version of themselves. Well, that's all fine and dandy when it comes to botany. I bet the tree doesn't think so, but I'll do the best I can to fertilize her or him, my beautiful tree, who I'll decorate. You get to see this little thing. I do have to have a conversation with it about some of the yellowing. So, any tips on Thuja arborite that's kept in a small container that you want to continue to grow? Not quite like a bonsai tree, but as something that it enjoys being and I can contain. Because see, I'm like, what is this telling me? Did I give it too much? I have this fertilizer I gave it. Little time release pegs. I'll have to make sure I didn't overdo it. I'll find them later. But anyway, we're going to pick up where we left off. I think it's really wonderful that men and women right now are actually saying, whoa, Nellie, let's not go so fast into a relationship. No, should we make it something that's a priority based on sex, it seems, and a physical attraction. But people then are just bringing it to base. And the women are acting like that's okay with them. And so are the men until it comes time for body counts to be compared. It's ridiculous. So we have come to these measures of everyone take a step back and find out what's floating your boat, what's making you do what you were doing. You know, girls, stop using vibrators with batteries. Learn how to use the muscles on the inside. You'll have great orgasms by yourself. You won't become reliant on the batteries, and a real man will be able to please you. But you've got to practice celibacy until you find somebody you can stand to be with 24/7. It's not about the sex. But the sex is a very real attraction, but it's not an indicator of a good match for you ladies. And if you jump into bed with him after you have just met him, you're not going to be thinking straight. Your hormones are going to be doing the deciding for you. I know, because I have been that person. So this is word to the wise. Don't let your body do the talking for you. I'm perfectly happy being single. I don't need a man right now. I have a friend that's a man, my country boyfriend. He's not my friend as a boyfriend friend. We're not romantic. Although he's tried to kiss me before, and I'm like, no. That's not my place right now in this relationship with you. We're here to observe. He's my friend that I observe with. He was abused so badly when he was a boy. I have stories. His father was a badass. So he grew up in the very, very country-ish of North Carolina. And what people don't realize is they are usually poor white boys surrounded by the people of the dark color that now are given permission and did have throughout the entire 60s. Were hostile towards the lone poor white guy in the country. Okay? So you had to learn how to be able to fend for yourself, and you had to learn how to be tough. So the guy is still alive. He's the same age as my brother. He's got stories, I tell you. He was married, his wife died of cancer, and then he was married again, and it was a disaster, and I know why, because the guy is so gun shy from having such an physically abusive father who might kill him at any moment if he did something tiny wrong. I mean, the stories are horrific, and so I'm like, listen, dude, I know everybody has trauma. You have physical, I have emotional. Everyone's working things out. And right now, it's like, you do you. I'm going to be me, and we're going to enjoy each other's company as people, as humans, alive. And I'm not interested in any energy transfer. I'm not interested in fluid transfer. I don't want that on me. And so that's what happens when you're with a person physically, is you get an energy transfer. So you better want that. So anyway, I think it's important that the individuals, men and women alike, whether you're in a relationship or not, have a relationship with yourself. And you return to your own true center, like really discover your own wishes, wants, preferences, desires. And, you know, for me, the goal of healing is to stop loving the abuse, also not taking it. Like my dad went back to it. He went back to it because of obligation. I watched how a empath or a good-natured person sacrifices myself. My father willingly and nobly sacrificed himself. And then my mother refused. It was a mess. We were just always trying to help her. And her combative dementia was so bad that the Healing Angels, which is a nationwide company that provides all kinds of services that an older person would enjoy for what they call aging in place at home. The aging in place cannot happen if you have a combative person on site that scares away all the help. And that actually would be a specialized service. One would have to recognize that's who you're dealing with, and then would actually have to use force. But how would that be allowed when the dementia person still has their own personal rights, and they need them? Because some people could then take abuse. They could easily, the other side could be that a person would take advantage of the law that said you could say somebody had combative dementia, now I get to take over their life. You see what I'm saying? You don't want it to be something that is done by way of somebody's selfish motivation to take over somebody's wealth. No. Or life, or, control. No. It's that everybody in the family did not come into agreement, because we needed everybody to say, we need to force this woman. All of us need to come and convince this woman that she needs to accept this help. We all need to be there at the same time. But that didn't happen. My two older sisters took the family heirlooms. My Irish twin took the family silver. She took 10 pieces and said, I'm leaving 2 sets behind for you, Kat. And then in the wake of my father's death this year in 2025, she goes, oh, I took the silver, sorry. I wanted the whole set, sorry. I go, you're not sorry. You're a silver thief and you're a liar. So a real family that hadn't been broken, and I'm not making her a bad person, I'm saying that behavior is indicative of entitlement of the golden child. The eldest, what did she do? She had my father sign over my mother's car title to her and her daughter or something. And I said, all the while, from afar, in January of 2023, not able to get there, clear my calendar like they did. I'm not believing you guys should act this rashly. People come back from strokes. She had to be sedated because she was a puller of the cords. She kept taking out her intravenous feeding, and she had ventriculitis. So she needed to have these antibiotics pumped into her veins 24/7. And she was pulling them out. So under sedation, she said, take whatever you want. And my sisters kept saying that to me. I said, no, you don't listen to a person on their hospital bed under sedation. You have to wait. Oh, no, you have to be there, Kat. You have to be there, my sister told me. And I go, don't. But they did. And so when I got there in February 2023, which was Arizona, from the East Coast, the damage was done. My mother was home. And my sister left saying, Mom's ramming her walker into Dad's knees. She even did it to me. See? Dad's not the only one. You're not the only one she gets mad at. She's getting mad at me too. I go, yeah, finally. Golden child is so clueless. So she already had taken all the silver and promising me. And the silver is important to me. Why? Because that's part of my story, like girls. I had this whole thing on it. I wrote about it. It's got a chapter. You know what the chapter is? I'll tell you. Twice a year we polish that set of silver, because twice a year we had religious holidays. We had Easter, and then we had Christmas. So we polished the silver and had very special family dinners. And those alone, amongst maybe half a dozen things, were some of my fondest memories. And for me, the silver represented something more than a value. It's a very precious family heirloom. It has value to me, and sentimental value as it is something that I was told my entire life I would one day have some. By my mother, I was promised my entire life. It was always something. It was the carrot. But it was also, it wasn't that like I wanted to pursue such materialism. It was that I belonged. I was part of the family too. I belonged. I was promised something of value to me, because it was the beautiful family story and the memories, the few times my mother was in a good mood. These religious holidays, she was always in a good mood. Rather than the narcissist partner I had for the last decade, the bad daddy in Virginia, holidays were always a nightmare. He was a narcissist that made all holidays a nightmare. But not in the case of my birth mother. She was always very happy. And so the silver held even a greater significance to me, because as the youngest and the fawner of the four, I so desperately wanted my mother to be happy. And that is what carried over into the relationships that I had as a wifey, what the black girls would say, when I originally had been a baddie. I went from a baddie to a wifey, either literally or really. And then continued to be the wifey rather than learning how to be the baddie. Because every time in relationships with these guys, I tried to assert myself. I was made to feel really, 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 really bad, which isn't bad, good. It's bad, bad. Whew. So I guess that's long enough. It takes a while for these long talks to upload for some reason. And I'm going to sign off. And we'll pick up where we left off in the next patio chat. Mwah.